Hello and welcome. Today, we have two very interesting stories, including one about an entitled girlfriend who allowed her friends to disrespect her boyfriend and got karma for it.
This story includes several updates, so sit back and enjoy.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy.
I met Danielle on a dating app and we immediately hit it off. Conversation was super easy for us, so we swapped numbers and spent the next 2 weeks texting and talking on the phone. I explained early on that I want to take my time because not only am I looking for something serious, but also have work commitments the next few months. I work in tech product sales, which can be very busy and also involve me leaving the city for a few days at a time.
She said she understood and was also looking for something long-term.
Great.
We met the weekend before Valentine's and had a nice restaurant date following by dessert and coffee.
We finished with a kiss and I walked her back to her car.
It was definitely the best date I've been on since my last relationship.
The next day I called her to say I was looking forward to seeing her again and would plan something when I get back. I live in a major North American city and from the 15th-17th I was booked 3 hours away for on-site client meetings. I told her about this and let her know we'd keep in touch.
On the Friday I'm due to get back, I get a message from a close female friend asking who I pissed off. I have no clue what she's talking about. She sends me a screenshot of my photo on what looks like a FB page and tells me it's a private group where women call out men for cheating. It's called, "Are We Dating the Same Guy?" And this particular group is just for people from my city.
In the screenshot, multiple people are posting under my picture with mostly harmless comments like, "Oh, I went on a date with him years ago. He was okay," but there were others like, "Private message me for the tea." And one woman said, "He's an angry idiot, stay away for your safety."
Because it's Facebook, I instantly recognized her name as someone I went on a date with last summer who I had to block after she repeatedly tried to sell me her cat. Absolute lunatic. A few things about me. I am single. I have never been married and my last relationship was over a year ago. I am very selective and Danielle was the first date I'd been on since the end of summer.
I am also a very private person.
I don't use social media and I don't kiss and tell. The fact that my photo is on this site is mortifying. What makes matters worse is when I got home I started getting texts from a bunch of other people I know either laughing at me or calling me a womanizer.
As of now I'm aware that several female friends have seen it, one coworker, my sister, and a woman I know who lives in the same building as me that excitedly grabbed me when I was leaving this morning to tell me, "I saw you on that Facebook group." Apparently it's a lot more popular than I realized.
There's only one person who would have the motivation to do this, so I called Danielle on the weekend and asked her.
Initially she denied it, but after some prodding that flipped to apparently her friend posting it. Why? Because a few of them had gotten tipsy together on Valentine's as they're all single. My name came up after her friends asked why she wasn't with me that night after the great date she'd told them about. Apparently me not being around as I was leaving early the next morning for work was suspicious, as was the fact we'd been talking for multiple weeks but she'd never seen my place.
She gave them a pic I used on the dating app and one of them posted it. She told me she was sorry but that I seemed too good to be true. Her last relationship ended due to cheating and she wanted to make sure I wasn't married or in a relationship.
I told her I needed some time to think and would be in touch.
That was Saturday.
We've been silent until today, where I woke up to dozens of messages from her saying things along the lines of, "I'm so sorry, I'm so angry with myself for this," and then the real truth. It was her that posted it.
She wanted to come completely clean and apologized for lying, telling me she panicked when I confronted her but she wants it all out now. She sent me screenshots unprovoked of the PM conversations she was having with women in the group about me. Aside from the one head case I mentioned earlier, there was nothing accusatory, but what I couldn't get over was how they were discussing me in such an open manner.
It had nothing to do with whether I was single or cheating. It was stuff like, he took me to this restaurant, he drives this kinda car, this is what he's like in bed, this is what his place is like, this is how much money I think he makes. I would never talk about exes or people I've dated like that. And if a guy tried to talk to me about Danielle like that, I'd think he was a effing weirdo and tell him to stop. My two closest female friends are divided on this, so I'm here for advice.
One thinks that women need to protect themselves against predators and violence, and groups like this are necessary.
The other is angry on my behalf because the presumption of men being posted to that group or that they're cheaters are sketchy, otherwise why would anyone even post them there? I really don't know what to do next.
I've never had to deal with anything remotely like this before. I like Danielle, but it was one date. She also lied to me about it at first.
This seems like a headache and we've never even had sex yet. Is she going to get even more paranoid after that?
It doesn't feel like we're compatible.
This feels like the past 3 weeks of us talking have been one massive waste, and that actually stings because she's the first person I've really liked since my ex.
Update.
I'm back with an update, but firstly, a couple of quick notes based on the feedback I got.
No, I am not Patrick or David or Eric or Pascal or Brett.
Thank you for the PMs asking. As much as I'd like to be a Brett since that was my favorite wrestler as a kid, it's concerning that these MSGs imply this seems to be happening so much that the identities can be confused. I don't care if you think my close female friend violated the sanctity of your super cool secret girls only club.
As she told me, her loyalties are to me.
She's known me since I was a child and knows that I didn't deserve to have my photo plastered there. I understand that those groups may be necessary in keeping women safe or finding predators, but their moderators should go harder in ensuring that it meets those goals rather than running a de facto gossip club where innocent people's personal lives are affected. I've had dozens of people reach out with very similar experiences, so perhaps your rules should reflect that rather than just keep boys out.
The lunatic who wanted to sell me her cat.
He seemed like a cool dude, but I just wasn't in the market for a pet. He also only had 3 legs, which made him run like a drunken sailor. All cats deserve love. I hope he got away from her. Some of you, alarmingly, struggle with concepts of consent. I consented to my photo appearing on a dating app. I did not consent to my photo appearing in a "Is this guy trash?" group. These are not the same, and the stigma and assumptions associated with both are vastly different. I really shouldn't have to explain this, but here we are.
Regarding me not realizing how big this group was, 3 of the women in my life all found out about it the same way.
On Valentine's Day, a radio show ran a segment on it, then it got picked up by blogs and social media. It's even appeared on local television.
My friend saw it on Twitter.
Another saw a "This guy was dating 12 women" post that got shared and decided to investigate. My sister was texted by her friend about it. And when they all rushed to check the group out, there I was.
Great timing.
It currently has over 50,000 members.
Anyway, moving on.
I decided not to pursue things with Danielle.
She took the post down during our radio silence, but it mainly boiled down to just not seeing her in the same light anymore.
I can accept that she is genuinely sorry, but I also know how I am, and it wouldn't be fair to either of us. This is supposed to be the honeymoon period.
Everything is supposed to be light and cute.
Now it's just suspicion and resentment. Not gonna lie, that period between when we first started talking to when I went away and my trip was really great. I looked forward to talking to her. When I would see a text I got butterflies. When we kissed it felt electric. Some people said what she did was such an obvious red flag they were questioning why I was even hesitating. The reason is that I haven't felt like this in some time. My last relationship lasted 5 years, and after we broke up I legitimately wondered if I could find that spark again.
Especially after trying dating apps here and there and not having much luck finding the right person.
I do want to feel that spark again and find my person, but holding on to something that already has these problems before it even starts is the wrong move. Instead, I'm simply happy I got to experience it.
Now I know it's out there and possible again, just not with Daniela. But I'll be honest, I did wake up today thinking, hey, you never know. Maybe couple months down the line I'll think different and maybe we'll go grab a drink. And then I saw she'd texted me. To preface, before I left the city for work she sent me a photo with a MSG. Don't forget about me.
It was her in a bikini on a summer beach blowing a kiss. She's quite chesty. So it's not exactly SFW, but there was no nudity. I opened today's text, which reads, "Hey, hope I'm not disturbing you, but I'd like to ask you to delete that picture I sent and do not share it with anyone." What the fork? I replied, "The only copy of that picture is in our chat thread. Do you seriously have this low an opinion of me?" To which she apologized and said she was just making sure. Fine.
At first I was annoyed, but then I realized the most important thing. It was a reminder I'd made the right decision.
So I made another and deleted her number.
The two replies.
What irony. Her messaging you demanding that you respect her right to consent. Lol. The nerve of this woman. I wonder if what she and the commenters did is entirely legal. Feels like slander or something similar.
Either way, you dodged a bullet on this one.
Whatever is going on with her, it would not have been a peaceful union. She needs to find a good therapist and stop dating for a while.
The second reply.
I'm glad this is being said because it is a massive red flag for me. With alarming frequency I have noticed women using social media as a way to stalk people and find out everything about them even before we have our first date. One time I messaged this woman on Tinder and unbeknownst to me she was an HR person at the same company I worked, which is not really that unlikely considering I work for a Fortune 5 company which employs like 1 million plus people. And within approximately 20 minutes she was showing me pictures of my internal company profile that only HR is allowed to see in my Instagram and Facebook, asking me targeted questions about my life. I instantly felt violated. I thought her actions were extremely unprofessional, and void of any human decency or optimism. Luckily there was not anything bad on my profile, so I wasn't in any trouble, but damn.
Do I want to date this person? Fork no.
Get me away from her. We met on Tinder.
I had only known her for like 30 minutes and that was how she was conducting herself unapologetically.
The third reply. So as a woman I understand the need to protect other women. But as a human, I also recognize the right for someone innocent privacy. This group isn't doing anyone favors by allowing women to post false narratives. They aren't protecting women. Well, maybe they are in some cases, but the fact they don't vet the posts, they are promoting women potentially attacking a man who could have just turned them down, which also isn't okay. You dodge a bullet, but look into legal avenues against this group, because it really doesn't do what it sets out to do since it doesn't get the posts. It's like revenge porn. It could ruin a man's life due to a date gone bad or not being interested.
The second story.
When I was 21, I matched with a girl on Tinder and took her to a Motel 6 just to play PS4. This is so embarrassing, but I just have to get this off my chest and tell somebody because I just thought of this and was cringing so hard at myself. Basically, I'd just broken up with my longtime girlfriend of 7 years and was trying to make friends. I used Tinder as one of the ways to do that. It was in my bio and everything that I was just looking for friends. Anyways, this girl matches with me and is being super flirty, asking to meet up and hang out, and it all just goes so over my head.
I legit wasn't thinking about sex at all.
It's so surreal looking back just how bad this girl tried to sleep with me, and I just kept so innocently and accidentally blowing her off.
She must have been so frustrated, OMG. So she asks to hang out one day and gives me her address. I drive to her place expecting to hang out, and she says we can't stay at her place because her family is weird, so she suggests we go to mine. I live with roommates at the time and didn't want to bring someone I just met to their space since they just had a kid.
We talked about that and agreed no strangers during this time. It was just post-COVID. So we thought about where we could go and she suggested a hotel. I thought about it and was like, yeah, it's basically like renting a room for a day and we can grab my PS4 from my house real quick and game on their TV. I'll even get some snacks.
So we drove to my house, I ran and grabbed my PS4, and then we drove to the motel.
The lady working behind the desk sees us, 19F and 21M, walk in and ask for a room and just gives us a sly smile while handing us the key, and the girl got all red and I literally didn't know why but didn't think anything of it. We get to the room, I start hooking up the PS4 while she just sits there on the bed, taking her shoes off and jacket off, and then I turn on the TV and sit next to her handing her a controller. She starts shooting closer to me and I'm like, okay, so we can either play a co-original poster RPG game if you want a story, or we can go old school shooter if you're looking to complete, or we could team up against online peeps in WWE, and the entire time my mind is just focused on having a good time and hanging out with my new friend.
We get through a couple hours of playing different games and eventually order a pizza and decide to watch a movie.
So now we're sitting on the bed a whole cushion apart watching a movie while eating pizza. After it got dark and the movie ended, I was like, okay, I guess I should get you home now, and she was super silent the whole ride back. I couldn't figure out if I'd done something wrong.
After I drop her off and tell her I had fun, she literally slams my door closed and walks inside.
I was taken aback and spent the whole drive back to my place trying to figure out if I'd said something or was rude in any way. I texted her a couple days later, and she had blocked me. So that's the story of how my completely oblivious ass blue-balled some Tinder chick who wanted dick but instead got 6 hours of Borderlands and a 2-hour in-depth rundown of the Elder Scrolls lore and why the Khajiit have 7 different races based on their births in relationship to the moon cycles.